Tonight, footy fans rejoice.
Our 2020 AFL Premiership season will resume on Thursday, June 11.
The AFL finally makes a decision. Training gets underway on Monday under strict COVID-19 guidelines. Thousands of jobs and millions of dollars. The Treasurer warns of Victoria's growing economic crisis as the virus impact bites. Time for a holiday. The PM hints we could soon be able to hit the road for an interstate trip. Murder suspect Ricardo Barbaro being driven back to Melbourne to face charges over the death of young mum Ellie Price. And bushland miracle, a dad missing in freezing conditions for several days, found alive.
This is 10 News First Melbourne with Jennifer Keyte.
Good evening. Footy fans finally have an answer. After weeks of uncertainty and speculation, AFL season 2020 will kick off again on June 11. And to get back to match fitness, players will be allowed to start training in groups from Monday.
Gillon McLaughlin must feel as nervous as a recruit who's just been told he's won the Brownlow.
Our 2020 AFL Premiership season will resume on Thursday, June 11.
That's a big mouthful, but the league chief has been dying to say those words for weeks.
We know as this situation continues to evolve, we have to remain agile and flexible to be able to adapt where necessary.
While at least for the first few rounds there'll be no spectators in the stands, fans will likely be cheering today's news as if their team had kicked a winner.
It'll be different seeing no fans in the crowd. It'll be strange for many, but at the same time, I think most fans are very welcoming of the fact that the footy's back.
The 4 Western Australian and South Australian clubs will move to a hub on the Gold Coast, and all players and staff will be subject to strict living arrangements. Each
household will be assessed for risk. There'll be restrictions on visitors to households.
For both teams. It's interesting talking to Justin Longmuir.
I guess discipline and resilience from all our players and all our football staff.
But the players say they'll do anything to get back on the field.
We're really excited. It's been a long period for us all, but we're looking forward to it.
Very excited, yeah. No, it's been long enough, I think, for everyone. So to have the news today, back at training next week, and games are not too far away as well.
The AFL remains committed to playing the grand final in Victoria and having 4 weeks of finals. So if everything goes to plan, the Premiership decider could be played at the MCG in mid to late October. If the G is unavailable, then the AFL could look to play it across town at Marvel Stadium. AFL creeping into cricket's time. That could be a battle of the ages. But as they say in footy, they're taking it 1 week at a time. Annie Kearney for 10 News First.
And Annie Kearney joins us live now. Annie, what measures will the AFL put in place to protect players and staff against COVID-19?
There are quite a few measures being put in place, Jen, including players and officials being subject to heavier restrictions in terms of social distancing and sanctions in place for anyone who breaches the rules. But perhaps the most important one is testing. Every player and official will be tested for COVID-19 by the end of the week. From then, they'll be tested 24 hours before any contact training sessions. So that's twice a week from May 25. Once the season starts, they'll then be tested every week. As for who is playing who, we'll have the fixture for the first 4 rounds in about the next 10 days. So, Jen, just a little bit longer until you know who your Bombers are playing in round 2.
Thanks, Annie. Can't wait. Well, as Victoria gears up for its first weekend with fewer restrictions, the impact of the virus is growing. We've recorded more than 20 new cases, including a worker at a second McDonald's store. And the Treasurer revealed a huge hit to jobs and the state's finances.
The budget pain is shining bright. Tim Pallas says the economic effects of coronavirus are far worse than the summer's bushfires.
So we're looking at something like 140 times bigger economic event bearing down on the state's economy.
And it's goodbye budget surpluses.
Looking at the moment at a $773 million deficit.
In normal times, treasurers would turn to new or increased taxes, but not now.
We're not looking to have a massive tax grab. I am looking to see if we can identify in the community who's doing it toughest.
Balaclava's Las Chicos Cafe is feeling the pinch.
The fees and the licences that we are required to have by law would be great to be reduced.
The opposition leader wants a year-long freeze on government fees, rates and charges.
We should be seeing public transport fares frozen for the next year.
This as 20 new coronavirus cases were confirmed. They include a staff member at Myer High Point, which has now shut its doors after operating only its click and collect service. 6 new cases came from hotel quarantine. 1 is linked to Cedar Meats and 2 are connected to the McDonald's Faulkner cluster, while the second of the company's restaurants at Craigieburn is now shut after a staffer there tested positive. For a second straight day, the Chief Health Officer was unavailable to speak on camera to address the spike in cases, leaving the Mental Health Minister to spruik some good news.
The 4th day in a row where we have no new community cases of transmission.
A glimmer of hope ahead of a less restrictive weekend. Simon Love for 10 News First.
Residents in Melbourne's eastern and southern suburbs have been unable to work or study today with mass internet outages causing chaos. Catherine Firkin joins us live now. Catherine, how long are these outages expected to last?
Well, Jen, unfortunately, it does look like these outages will last for several days. The damage that has been done here at this construction site is significant. Construction workers have managed to dig through multiple fibre cables, and that means that multiple services have been affected. Everything from Foxtel to broadband is out, and it's expected to remain that way through much of the weekend. Now, this couldn't have come at a worse time for the hundreds of businesses in this area, many of which were only just starting to get back on their feet and would have been hoping to make the most of the slightly eased restrictions. Telstra says it will be prioritising these companies and says it's doing everything it can to fix this problem under extremely difficult circumstances.
It is a really complex environment that they're working in. It is a confined space and the impact has occurred about 12 metres underground. So it is a huge amount of work and they are doing their best to get this restored as soon as possible.
Of course, it's not just businesses that have been affected by these outages, it's everyday residents here who have been trying to work from home, trying to study, trying to stay connected with families and friends. And Jen, at a time that is already so stressful and so difficult for so many people, this really is so much more than just an inconvenience.
Very true. Thank you, Catherine. Well, Victorians are looking forward to a weekend of eased restrictions as parks, beaches and shops reopen. But we're being warned to stay vigilant about social distancing.
Taking in a breath of fresh air a little further from home.
Really good. The fact that we can just come out.
Yeah, we're getting a bit sick of our own neighbourhood, so yeah.
We've come back out as soon as we got told that restrictions were being lifted.
Victorians are set to spend the weekend hiking at national parks and swimming at the beach for the first time in 7 weeks.
I'll be going to the beach, actually. I like getting in there even if it's cold.
Dinner parties and gatherings with 5 guests at home are also on the agenda.
We are having a couple of friends over tonight to have a couple of drinks and some cheese, so looking forward to catching up.
But overnight stays are not allowed, neither are weekends away, unless you own a holiday home.
We're going to head down to our beach house in Blackberry.
Shops which shut during lockdown are starting to reopen their doors, and some Victorians are making the most of it.
Well, we haven't really been shopping in a while, so we're sort of like using our day off to go. But yeah, we decided to stay away from the major shopping centres.
A third of stores are open at Melbourne Central and up to 70% of shops are welcoming customers at Chadstone Shopping Centre.
And we're seeing that retailers are preparing deals and we expect to see lots of shoppers out and about stocking up on their winter woolies.
And there's a cautious return to auctions and home inspections with a maximum of 10 people.
So we're expecting this weekend, with the beautiful weather, we'll see people out and about looking at properties again like they used to.
Whatever you choose to do this weekend, social distance measures will remain in place. The government's reminding us to keep sticking to the rules so Victoria can stay on the path to recovery.
We do not want to be in a position where we have to reimpose a lockdown.
Estelle Lewis for 10 News First.
The Prime Minister has flagged interstate domestic travel could be back on the cards by the next school holidays in July. But as Australia starts to reopen, our leaders are concerned about another health challenge.
Life may appear to be slowly returning to normal. In some states, cafes and restaurants have started opening their doors.
And I want to commend them for that brave step that they're taking this weekend. Good on you for reopening.
But our leaders are worried about the next health crisis brought on by the pandemic.
All of these pressures which come with the pandemic have created specific mental health challenges,
such as heightened loneliness in isolation and stress caused by job losses and finances.
We do need to look at things such as risky behaviour that so many of us engaging in to try and cope with the pandemic, those health issues associated with substance use and substance abuse, gambling.
The federal government has committed an extra $48 million in additional support. Moving forward, they're concerned about suicide rates.
It is heartening to look at those figures and to say it hasn't got worse. That doesn't mean it couldn't get worse.
Because these things can build up, they can brew, people can dwell. And so we want to get ahead of the curve.
The National Cabinet has also agreed to fully reopen elective surgery.
The boom is going up on elective surgery all around the country. That will be done, of course, at the pace that states set. But that will be welcome particularly to the private health industry.
With yesterday's figures revealing nearly 600,000 Australians have lost their jobs in this pandemic, the National Cabinet's aim now is to get as many people back into work as soon and safely as possible.
Some $220 billion in loan deferrals have already been put in place in our banking system, about 2/3 of that in mortgages and 1/3 for small and medium-sized enterprises.
International travel remains off the cards for the foreseeable future, but for those still returning,
you can't test your way out of quarantine, unfortunately.
Tegan George for 10 News First.
Captured fugitive Ricardo Barbaro will arrive soon in Melbourne to be formally questioned over the death of his girlfriend Ellie Price. Emma O'Sullivan joins us live now. Emma, he's been extradited from New South Wales by road.
That's right, Jen, and after the 9 or 10-hour road trip from Sydney, a group of detectives and Ricardo Barbaro are expected to arrive here shortly, and then he will be formally interviewed. The 33-year-old was arrested yesterday after a tense standoff with police. He was inside a penthouse in Western Sydney, and residents of that apartment complex reported hearing a lot of noise in the early hours of the morning when police finally caught up with him. He's been a wanted man over the death of his on-again, off-again girlfriend Ellie Price. The body of the 26-year-old mother was found inside her South Melbourne apartment. That was on the 4th of May, but police have said they do think her body may have been there for several days before her death was discovered, and then her car was found in the outer suburb of Diggers Rest. Ellie's grieving family has expressed relief at the arrest. Police have said they're not looking for any other suspect in relation to this homicide investigation. Jen, it is likely that Ricardo Barbaro will face a magistrate tomorrow.
OK, thank you very much, Emma. Well, now to a story that looked destined for heartache but has turned to jubilation. Daniel Portelli had been missing in bushland at East Warburton for almost a week in freezing conditions. Against all odds, he was found safe and well.
Even the greatest optimists couldn't have predicted a better outcome. A family rejoicing after finding their son and beloved brother alive.
It's ecstatic, just like it was just beyond belief. I ran and gave him a big hug and I said, Dan, it's us. What are you doing to us, mate?
Daniel Portelli exited the celebrations early in an ambulance where he was taken to hospital in a stable condition. Just hours earlier was a very different story. Michael and David Portelli were entering their 4th day of scouring dense forest, desperately searching for their big brother.
Daniel!
The father of 3 went missing on Sunday. He hadn't been seen since Tuesday, and his parents were preparing for the worst.
Awful feeling when you think that your son is going to die.
And his family had the support of an entire town. Almost 100 family members and volunteers had been searching around the clock for more than 72 hours. And early this afternoon, a cousin found him.
We searched both sides of the river, and thankfully we found him.
The 36-year-old suffers from bipolar. Recently, he'd been very unwell.
Just as a general rule, if you see someone in distress, just reach out to them.
Daniel's survival is almost nothing short of a medical miracle. It got down to -1 degree last night. He wasn't wearing shoes, he'd taken his jacket off, and he was also in the water. He is suffering from some hypothermia, but it's expected that he will make a full recovery and his brothers will be there every step of the way.
I think I'll bring my children to see him and meet up with his family and, celebrate some way.
A wonderful life lesson that sometimes there is a happy ending. Natasha Exelby for 10 News First.
Great to see. Well, now here's Stephen previewing sport, and it's all about the footy.
Who would have thought, Jen? It's Thursday, June 11. That is the day. And as the clock starts ticking, we'll get the reaction from the AFL community. And for the players, it's goodbye. The training in pairs as they prepare to reunite with their teammates.
Thanks, Stephen. Coming up in 10 News First, a passionate plea for human rights as high-profile lawyer Amal Clooney pops into the Canberra bubble. And a crucial day for Virgin Airlines and the jobs of thousands of workers.
Who doesn't love a classic apple pie?
Apple pie is very simple. How can I elevate it? I really want to do something that's very theatrical, and I want to blow the judges away.
I'm going down too. I want to go down. Can I see? Oh, blow live!
Why are you all here?
No pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. They're watching me. I'm trying to ignore them. I'm just trying to stay calm. I'm feeling a lot of pressure. This dome has to be perfectly done. There's no room for error. Oh, I hear a crack.
The night where another one of your favorites goes. The Bombshell Elimination on 10. Who will go? 7:30 Sunday.
With vitamins and fibre, fresh Aussie Pink Lady apples are yours for the taking. Just don't take one from the bottom, or they'll all come. Appalach! Now on sale at Aldi. Good. Different.
Meet the crew. They got their own way of betting. And this is me. I've always got the answer.
Make this Saturday one to remember. Get $4 odds for either Keyte or Santa and Elaine to win the Goodwood. PointsBet.
Even though we need to stay inside, we can still keep moving. Even when you're not outside, you can still move like you are. Because even when spaces are limited, you can still move without limits.
There's more than one way to date, and with eHarmony's new Video Date, you can get to know that special someone wherever and whenever you like. eHarmony has thousands of singles waiting to meet you. So unlock dating with Video Date, the brand new feature from eHarmony.
Lendy is helping thousands of households save on average about $2,832 in interest over the next year on their home loans. That's millions in savings for Aussies when they need it most. How can Lendy help you save?
Prepare for your great escape with Jayco. Dealerships are open and ready for your next adventure. With great deals across the entire range, there's an RV for every budget and every adventure. Need finance? We can help with that too. Get ready to escape and visit your local Jayco dealer today.
Do it, baby.
Song, mate.
Make this Saturday one to remember. If your horse runs second, third or even fourth in races 1 to 6 at Rose Hill, get your money back in bonus up to $50. PointsBet.
OMG, what a night. I probably look like... Shut up, my skin looks amazing.
New Olay Retinol 24 Night Serum. Look how plump and bouncy. Girl, it really works.
When we can all get out of our own backyards, it's time to start enjoying this one. In a 10 special, we talk to the people and visit the places that remind us why we're so lucky to live in the lucky country. Join us for the Love Australia project, 7:30 tonight on 10.
A major crime investigation's been opened into a horror case of neglect, which has unfolded inside an Adelaide home. Despite getting NDIS care, a severely disabled woman has died after being left in the same chair for at least a year.
Anne Smith was found only semi-conscious in her home on April 5, dying in hospital a day later, without even a shred of the dignity any human deserves.
We were able to identify that Anne died in disgusting and degrading circumstances and that her death was most likely preventable.
The outside of her leafy eastern suburbs home was flawless, hiding the horror within.
Living her days and sleeping at night in the same woven cane chair in a lounge room for over a year.
Her wheelchairs were unused in another room. There was no fridge and no food. Even hardened detectives barely able to describe where she lived out her days.
And she's unable to go to the toilet on her own. She's unable to bathe or wash herself. She's unable to feed herself. I'll leave that to everybody's imagination.
The 54-year-old had severe cerebral palsy and had been on her own since her parents died more than a decade ago. She couldn't walk, bathe, feed or dress herself. In 2013, she was placed on an NDIS care plan delivered through a local company in Adelaide. She was funded for 6 hours of care every day of the week, but by the time she made it to hospital, she had septic shock and multi-organ failure.
Where she subsequently underwent major surgery to remove rotting flesh from severe pressure sores on her body.
Records from the care company have been seized and a carer has been interviewed by police, their home searched. Police are also investigating whether Anne's finances were accessed, her death declared a major crime.
It's not so much not a matter of not being found. Every day she has a carer come in. The question for us is, how did Anne become so unwell when she has a full-time carer?
Hannah Ford for 10 News First.
The future of Virgin Australia will soon become a little bit clearer with bids to buy it closing in the next hour. For the company's workers and customers, there is already some good news. Its loyalty program now allows people to use their points to fly.
Virgin right now has no clear owner and few actual flights, but you can book them again using points.
Well, I think the Virgin Awards announcement is an excellent one. It shows the confidence that there will be a Virgin into the future.
The first formal bids for the airline are being collected right now by the administrator, who set a 6 p.m. deadline. Virgin still on track for a new owner by the end of next month. The union's favouring a long-term player, while the Prime Minister talks up the possibility of billions of dollars in domestic travel as international remains frozen.
Australians who might otherwise go elsewhere, that is a very large market, and that will be targeted.
But the strains on aviation are falling unevenly on the workers in it.
Thousands of airport workers, catering staff, airport security people have found themselves caught out in a loophole. They have now been stood down, but because they're employed by foreign-owned companies, they are missing out on the JobKeeper payments.
I was born in Australia, I grew up in Australia, I work in Australia, and I pay taxes. Why am I and the people I work with not getting access to JobKeeper? When you don't have a work, when you don't have a job to get up to in the morning, you wake up and you think to yourself, what happened to the world?
6 million Australians now rely on JobKeeper payments. Labor says this is a glitch.
Josh Frydenberg can fix this with a stroke of a pen, and he needs to.
Hugh Rimmington for 10 News First.
Well, let's take a look at the traffic now. Sebastian Kant has the best view from the chopper.
Well, we certainly do. Thank you, Jen. Good evening. We're above the Western Ring Road interchange in the Lexus of Brighton traffic chopper on this Friday night, and boy, does it look like a typical Friday night. Had a look at the West Gate, chockers down from the bridge all the way out to the Ring Road, and that's the Ring Road there, centre of screen. Altona bound is a real heavy patch coming down from the Deer Park bypass. In fact, Greensboro bound struggling too as you head up towards the Deer Park bypass as well. I'll be back again shortly with more traffic, Jen.
Thank you, Sebastian. And ahead in 10 News First, Donald Trump threatens to end America's ties to China. And green power wins as 2 giant nuclear towers go out with a bang.
And a truly wonderful weekend is on the way. Details shortly, and we give a dog a home.
While we're all parked for a while, Lexus isn't. We're still anticipating your needs. So if your Lexus needs a service, we'll pick it up, deliver you a loan car, and return yours thoroughly cleaned inside and out.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?
For the first time in a MasterChef elimination.
You're going to cook head to head against the person next to you.
What? I really want to do something that's very theatrical.
Reynolds!
And I want to blow the judges away.
The night where another one of your favourites goes.
I'm feeling a lot of pressure.
The Bombshell Elimination, 7:30 Sunday.
We're powered by a leader in renewable energy, the mighty Snowy Hydro. Now that's real Aussie energy. Red Energy, 100% Australian electricity and gas.
Let's do it, baby.
It's on, mate. Make this Saturday one to remember. If your horse runs second, third or even fourth in races 1 to 6 at Rose Hill, get your money back in bonus up to $50. PointsBet.
There's nothing like a cold glass of Milo. You stir it all the way down and leave a little party on top. Yep, it's the Milo crunch you can't resist. Ah, love it.
These are uncertain times, but the automotive industry has a simple message.
Auto's open and we're open.
Auto's open and we're open.
Auto's open and we're open.
So whatever you need, maintenance, repairs, specialty services, even buying a vehicle, VACC members are open for business. So look for the orange sign. VACC, you're in good hands.
Going crazy stuck at home? Want help to cook up some fun? Why not get your Hungry Jack's flame-grilled favourites delivered now with Uber Eats or Menulog? With easier online ordering, the burgers are better at Hungry Jack's.
Oh my god! Someone save me! I think if you're gonna wear a red lip, you've got to commit to it. Not the guy, the lip. Do we look like sisters?
Your next royal TV show obsession.
I'm married to an idiot. God himself spat me forth for greatness. Why does he make you a woman then? For comedy.
The brand new series, The Great, premieres tomorrow only on Stan.
Woolworths online shopping is back for all customers. We have thousands of extra delivery and pickup windows now open to serve even more customers. Visit woolworths.com.au and start shopping today.
Meet the crew. They got their own way of betting. And this is me. I've always got the answer.
Make this Saturday one to remember. Get $4 odds for either Keyte or Santa and Elaine to win the Goodwood. PointsBet.
Right now, the comfort of our home has never been more important. So it's good to know that at Fantastic Furniture, you can shop our entire range in-store or online, now with contactless delivery and click and collect services. Find your Fantastic today.
Sandra Oh and Stanley Tucci join Graham Norton for a night of 5-star fun.
I've got goosebumps.
8:30 tonight on 10.
In another day of coronavirus chaos in America, President Trump has lashed out at experts Barack Obama and Beijing, firing blame at all quarters for the outbreak. He's even threatened to end America's relationship with China.
Donald Trump arrived in Pennsylvania to a warm welcome, but it's his relationship with China's President Xi that could be about to go on ice.
Right now, I don't want to speak to him. There are many things we could do. We could do things. We could cut off the whole relationship.
Something that would no doubt please supporters like this, the president visiting a mask factory of all places and refusing to wear one. Trump announced he'll restore the national stockpile of medical supplies.
My goal is to produce everything America needs for ourselves and then export to the world, and that includes medicines.
While at a Senate hearing, this mask maker testified that he warned of shortages.
I've been working on this damn issue for 13 years, trying to save lives. Nobody listened.
Others also tried to sound the alarm.
He said, we're in deep the world is, and we need to act. And I pushed that forward to the highest levels I could in HHS and got no response.
This immunologist turned whistleblower claims he was fired for speaking out when the president began promoting an untested malaria drug.
Americans deserve the truth.
But this is what Americans are being told instead.
It could be the testing's frankly overrated.
Donald Trump is continuing to lay blame on his predecessor, Barack Obama, saying he didn't leave behind an adequate pandemic plan. Today, the former president hit back, posting a single word on social media: vote. In Wisconsin, bars opened immediately after the Supreme Court struck down the statewide stay-home order, the world's most infected country with a patchwork pandemic response. Eamon Ashton-Atkinson for 10 News First, New York.
Well, the light at the end of the coronavirus tunnel seems to be getting closer, with the latest antibody test confirmed as 100% accurate. While this result doesn't stop anyone getting the virus, it does show who's had it and helps track it and mutations. Britain's NHS has also released new research that shows diabetes and dementia are the most common comorbidity factors in those who have died of COVID-19 there. Only 5% of those who died didn't have any other condition. Germany has taken another loud and dusty step towards being nuclear power free, blowing up 2 cooling towers in the country's west. Controlled explosions brought one tower down at a time, perfectly inside their own footprints. The reactors have been progressively shut down in 2011 and last year as part of the country's move towards green energy. And now here's Mike with a look ahead to the weather.
Yes, thank you, Jen. Good evening. What a lovely day it was today. I hope you managed to spend some time out in that sunshine. Blue skies, light winds, the mid-teens. Wow. But we deserved it. It was freezing this morning. In fact, in Melbourne, 4.5, rating off to 5 degrees. Our coldest morning, not just this year, but since October. And it wasn't just in Melbourne. Oh, below zero, the likes of Ballarat and Coldstream, 0 at Horsham, Wangaratta, Rutherglen, Latrobe Valley, and perhaps that's why you pressed the snooze button and went back to sleep. Good news, not quite as cold tomorrow morning, but yeah, still will be chilly. Okay, it is Friday. It is 5:30. Time to give a dog a home here at the Lost Dogs Home in North Melbourne. Liv, come over and introduce us to this little Staffy Cross, 2 years of age. Well, we're only a couple of weeks away from winter, and this is winter. And winter wants to go to your place. All the details, of course, at dogshome.com. Okay, thanks, guys. Got the forecast in full, and great news, the best weekend in weeks is only hours away. Details shortly. Jen?
Good to hear. Thanks, Mike. Still to come, we'll have an update on the day's top stories. And with interstate travel on the horizon, a glimpse of our best homegrown holiday destinations.
Follow the stories of these lovable pooches as they go from abandoned to adopted to adored. So, who's your good boy?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
The brand new series The Doghouse premieres tomorrow on 10.
Hester is a super fund that supports people whose work helps others. Their stories inspire us to give them a stronger financial future and a better world to retire into. It's our way of saying thank you.
Meet the crew. They got their own way of vetting. And this is me. I've always got the answer.
Make this Saturday one to remember. Get $4 odds for either Keyte or Santa and Elaine to win the Goodwood. PointsBet.
Bed Match at 40 Winks takes the confusion out of buying a bed. And right now, get any size mattress for the price of a single. That's a queen, king or super king mattress for the price of a single. But hurry, ends Sunday. 40 Winks, serious about sleep.
You don't give in. You don't give up. You push on when most would have pushed off. You lend a hand, whether a hand was asked for or not. It's called Aussie Spirit for good reason, because it takes spirit to get through times like these. Lucky you've got it in spades. It's what inspires us to be by your side to help. Together we'll get through this. We always do. Search Toyota, here to help.
Amy has always helped Australians get back on the road. But now, more than ever, it's vital those on the front line get to where they need to be. That's why we're now offering free roadside assist to all doctors, nurses, hospital staff and first responders Australia-wide until the end of the year. Amy and non-Amy customers. Here's to supporting the everyday heroes who are supporting the rest of us. To take advantage of this offer, go to amy.com.au.
Lucky you're with Amy.
Your next royal TV show obsession.
I'm married to an idiot. God himself spat me forth for greatness. Why does he make you a woman then? For comedy.
The brand new series, The Great, premieres tomorrow only on Stan.
Do you have heartburn or indigestion? Eating certain foods can increase the acidity at the top of the stomach, and that can cause indigestion. When that acid rises up the esophagus, that's heartburn. Gaviscon Dual Action relieves them both. It works fast. 2 ways. It neutralises excess stomach acid, and it forms a protective barrier to help stop stomach acid from rising. Get fast relief with Gaviscon Dual Action.
Being stuck at home doesn't have to mean being stuck for things to do. Because if you take a look around, there's inspiration everywhere. Ryobi One Plus. One plus you equals endless possibilities. Available at bunnings.com.au.
Do it, baby.
It's on, mate.
Make this Saturday one to remember. If your horse runs second, third or even fourth in races 1 to 6 at Rose Hill, get your money back in bonus up to $50. PointsBet.
If you've been injured, talk directly to a lawyer, not a call centre. If you don't win, there's no fee. Call Arnold Thomas and Becker, specialising in injury compensation for over 50 years.
Will an apple pie send the dessert king home? The bombshell elimination, Sunday.
Human rights lawyer Amal Clooney has given evidence at a parliamentary inquiry into banning international criminals from Australia. The world-renowned barrister and wife of Hollywood star George Clooney appeared by video link from LA to voice her support for sanctions against human rights abusers.
So far, only 3 states, the US, Canada and the UK, have robust global powers to impose targeted sanctions on human rights grounds. I think it's time that Australia joined the club.
The legislation being considered would allow Australia to name and shame people linked to breaches of international law or corruption. Well, we might not be able to go on holidays just yet, but planning one is often half the fun. To help, it's hoped a 2-day live stream of Australia's best destinations and experiences will provide some inspiration and greatly needed boost to tourism when domestic travel restarts.
This is the man who helps Chris Hemsworth look like this. And after a live-streamed workout tomorrow from Byron Bay, you could too.
Look, I can't say that your face is going to look like Chris Hemsworth, but your body is definitely going to be closer to looking like Chris Hemsworth. He's a good-looking man.
This personal training session is kicking off a 2-day adventure around the country. Starting tonight on Network 10, Live from Oz will stream the best of our homegrown places and faces to get Aussies planning their next trip when coronavirus restrictions ease.
People will venture out of their houses and maybe do day trips, some local overnight trips before going interstate.
On the hour, every hour, viewers watching the stream will be transported to 32 locations, from a living room kids' dance party.
Hi, we're the Wiggles.
To the top end, where there are crocs to be wrangled.
We might come and catch up with Otis.
Oak Ridge Winery is taking care of Saturday lunch from Victoria's Yarra Valley.
just having a look around for some herbs to dry for our cheese making class.
Last year, international travellers spent about $45 billion seeing Australia, and we spent almost as much on overseas holidays. But with international travel ruled out for the foreseeable future, that's money that can be spent at home.
Now that's up for grabs for Australian domestic tourism operators.
A welcome chance to explore our own backyard. Sydney Keyte for 10 News First.
Well, let's take another look at our roads. It's back up to Sebastian in the traffic chopper.
Thank you, Jen. Good evening again. As the sun sets over Melbourne and the Lexus of Brighton traffic chopper, we are having a look at Hoddle Street and looking at this congestion. It's a dream for a traffic reporter. Not great if you're heading home or you've got someone heading home. They could be late tonight. Hoddle Street's got a heap of traffic on it coming up out of Richmond from the Yarra and up towards Abbotsford and Collingwood, past the Taj Mahal there, and getting onto the Eastern Freeway. I'll see you again shortly, Jen.
OK, thank you, Sebastian. And now here's Stephen with Friday Sport, and we finally have takeoff.
Yeah, we do, Jen. Round 2 of the AFL starts in 27 days. We'll get the reaction from the Power, the Demons, the Crows and the Bulldogs, while for the Eagles, it means they'll be hubbing on the Gold Coast, but they say it's a sacrifice for the good of the game. And while the players now refocus, there's still time for some reading and rapping from 2 of footy's characters.
While we're all parked for a while, Lexus isn't. We're still anticipating your needs. So if your Lexus needs a service, we'll pick it up, deliver you a loan car, and return yours thoroughly cleaned inside and out.
Singer-songwriter Missy Higgins joins us tonight, 6:30.
Have we got a sweet must-see Monday for you?
Good to hear.
At 7:30, it's the sweet and savoury mistake no one sees coming. Then, these stars are bringing sweet lockdown laughs.
I'm doing a lot of online shopping. Oh, like a one-woman stimulus package, which coincidentally is something I ordered.
That's must-see Monday. Sweet.
1, 2, 3, 4. So clap it back. Hey, clap, clap. So clap it back. Hey, I'm getting you right back. 'Cause you're not gonna stand around living like that. So clap it back. Clap it. Clap, clap. Alright. So clap it back. Hey, hey.
Centrum provides multiple health benefits in just one tablet. Centrum, complete from A to Zinc.
Felix, my ribbon. You clever cat. You want your doubly delicious.
2 irresistible flavours in one delicious meal. Felix as good as it looks, doubly delicious. Double the flavour, double the taste.
This Saturday with Sportsbet at 3 tracks for races 1 to 6. Finish 2nd or 3rd and get up to $50 back in bonus bets.
BSI.
So BS responsibly with Sportsbet. We'll be watching.
There's only one thing to look for. Choose a super fund with this symbol.
We're all in this together.
Amiga Montessori Long Day Care and Kindergarten is about family and care. Our staff and your little ones are our priority, and we're working hard to ensure their continued health and safety. At Amiga Montessori, we have an amazing and highly dedicated team who are here for you and your kids. Remember, we are all in this together. Amiga Montessori, preparing children for the future.
At Harvey Norman, get 60 months interest-free and receive a bonus gift card up to the value of $500. The more you spend on 60 months interest-free, the greater the value of the bonus gift card. Shop for laptops, phones, TVs, fridges, washers, ovens, lounges, beds, flooring and so much more. Shop in our spacious stores or online. We're practicing social distancing to keep our community safe. Get 60 months interest-free and receive a bonus gift card valued at up to $500 now at Harvey Norman. Hurry, offer ends Tuesday.
Go!
Massell, proudly Australian made and owned for 38 years.
Right now, it's time to stay safe. Right now, it's time to stay home. But there's one thing you should never stop doing, and that's dreaming of your next adventure. Because even though today we can't hit the beach, we can't head for the hills, or even just push the boat out, it won't be forever.
Sandra Oh and Stanley Tucci join Graham Norton for a night of five-star fun.
I've got goosebumps.
8:30 tonight on 10.
Good evening, it's officially back. The AFL will return in just over 3 weeks, with the players agreeing to new living restrictions to help restart the season. Players will be tested twice a week, but the AFL is keeping its grand final date open just in case.
It's been a long, tough haul back, and at stages they weren't entirely sure they'd make it.
I think someone told me it's 54 days ago or something like that. I think then you must have had doubts.
The AFL boss announced Thursday night, June 11 as the first game back, with training starting next week.
For Monday, all clubs will return to training. And all AFL clubs will resume full contact training a week later on May 25.
And while we have a return date, we don't have an end date. For the first time ever, the AFL is keeping its options open on not only when the grand final will be played, but where.
We'll have to be flexible on that. The default position is the MCG until things change.
The clubs have just under 4 weeks to get themselves ready.
Oh, look, it's not ideal, but we'll work through it. The boys just want to play footy. I just want to play footy. I think the community is looking forward to us playing footy. We'll be right.
Players will be coronavirus tested twice a week, and they've agreed to a raft of restrictions on the way they live. Their homes will be risk assessed.
There's a set of protocols that needed to be agreed to get to have the ability for football teams to travel around the country, and this is one of them. Obviously, there is risk depending on who players live with.
Each household will be assessed for risk. There'll be restrictions on visitors to households. So there's a full suite of those.
The AFL is using a flexible fixture and intends to roll it out every 4 to 6 weeks. McLaughlin thanked the governments and their health authorities for their support and trust.
We're going to have lumps and bumps through this. We'll work through this, but I hope that we for some people who are doing it tough, the footy is a bit of something to look forward to.
Rob Waters for 10 News First.
Part of the hold-up in making today's announcement was figuring out what to do with the WA and South Australian clubs. In the end, it was decided all 4 would head into a hub on the Gold Coast to train and play each other, a call that has been roundly accepted by the impacted teams.
In the COVID-19 era, nose swabs and temperature checks will be more common than rub-downs and liniment.
There's some sacrifice. Yeah, there definitely is.
With border restrictions still in place, South Australian clubs will be hubbing it on the Gold Coast from Monday week, while clubs from the West will head over in the lead up to their first game.
The most likely scenario is those teams will play each other in the first 4 rounds.
It's a good fit for our football club in terms of climate and facility.
The thought of potentially sharing a hotel with the Crows is an interesting one.
Well, we said this season's unique, and I think having both teams working together in a hub will add to that uniqueness.
It'll be 5-star resort living in a quarantine setting, and families will be welcome.
Players will be able to host family members at any stage during the time away from home, which will be funded by the AFL.
I dare say that one of the first bits of equipment that will be packed for a majority of the guys will be the golf clubs. I think there'll be a few PlayStations being packed in the bags as well.
Olympic Park was like a hummingbird feeder for players with springs in their step. Dashing dogs crossing paths with Demon brothers.
It's funny, we're here every day with Taylor Duray, Matty Suckling, they're here every day at the same time. Taylor Adams is always over on the other side of the field, so it's funny what guys are in the same routine you are, coming here at 8:30 in the morning every Monday, Wednesday, Fridays.
McDonald says he'll return to clubland physically strong and mentally sharp, and believes clubs have had enough time to get things right.
Well, technically it's more like about a 24-week pre-season really, because it's not like we didn't do the work beforehand. We had a full pre-season beforehand, and unless you've been injured, guys have been able to train 3 to 4 times a week anyway. So while there'll be a little bit of match fitness, guys should really have no excuse to be, generally fit with the amount of running they should be doing in this sort of time period.
Nick Butler for 10 News First.
Melbourne Cup-winning trainer Danny O'Brien is gunning for back-to-back victories in Australia's great race. He looks set to have a major hand in this year's edition and is out to secure a golden ticket for King of Leo Grants in tomorrow's Andrew Ramsden Stakes at Flemington.
It was a moment in time that changed Danny O'Brien's life.
It was another level to anything that I've been fortunate enough to do in racing, and really does make you hungry to try and do it again.
And he's got the team to do it. His is a stable stacked with stars. He's got the defending champion, the current race favourite, and a 5-year-old who also wants in, the Adelaide Cup winner, King of Leo Grants.
He's very well. He spent a lot of time down at 13th Beach, and he's had a couple of little barrier trials, one at Geelong and one here at Flemington, so his fitness is still really strong, and it looks a race where he's going to be very hard to beat.
The French-bred import is owned by 6-time Melbourne Cup winner Lloyd Williams. He'll be steered by Damien Oliver, who scored with Steel Prince in the Win in Your In race last year. It'll be vastly different scenes tomorrow, just as the Cup will have a different complexion with the likelihood of no internationals. O'Brien says it'll take none of the gloss off.
No, I can't see it. There'll be a Melbourne Cup run and one, as there has been for 158 years, and they've been run through wars and pandemics, and I'm sure it'll be the equal of any of the 158 that have gone before it.
He also has Vow and Declare on a path to defend his crown, while South Australian Derby winner and new Cup favourite Russian Camelot has the X Factor and plenty of upside.
He's still a lad, he's only just turned 3 and he's got a bit of charisma when you see him. He's a particularly attractive horse, and he seems to have garnered a pretty strong following from a horse that's only had 5 race starts.
It's clear this is a stable with some serious staying power. Keyte Price for 10 News First.
Melbourne Storm will hit the road for at least the first fortnight of the relaunched NRL season. The league confirmed there will be no games in Victoria for the new-look 3rd and 4th rounds, which will see the Storm play Canberra and South Sydney.
Finally, some good news for acting NRL CEO Andrew Abdo to deliver, and the relief was clear.
But we remain on track for May 28, and now we know which games we can look forward to in just under 2 weeks' time.
The Eels are heading on a road trip to reboot the season against the Broncos. Melbourne meet 2019 grand finalists Canberra for the first time since the finals. And a classic Rabbitohs-Roosters grudge match will spice up the first Friday night of footy.
I think there's a little bit more in it when you play against the Roosters.
Latrell Mitchell will meet his former club for the first time since their messy breakup. Despite his patchy early form at fullback, Rabbitohs teammates are urging patience with the star recruit.
Yeah, the way we've been training at the moment, Latrell's staying at fullback. Doesn't bother me where he plays. He's a wonderful talent. Just his skill level at training has been unbelievable.
The Broncos back up the following Thursday, while Friday the Panthers, minus Nathan Cleary, host the Warriors. The Eels-Manly rivalry is reignited Saturday before the annual Queen's Birthday clash between the Dragons and Bulldogs.
There are lots of blockbusters and great games in those 2 weekends.
The Dogs resume their season against the Sea Eagles, but coach Dean Pay feels there's been too many changes in the rush to kick off on May 28.
Certainly looks like a different competition for where we sit. I can't see why we can't have every team back, starting on 0 points again.
The Dragons are preparing for the Warriors. First up, Coach Paul McGregor, all for one referee.
Selfishly, if I look at the Dragons, we give the least amount of penalties away in holding people down.
Ros Kelly for 10 News First.
Renault's team boss has accused the departing Daniel Ricciardo of disloyalty after the Australian Formula One driver signed with McLaren. Ricciardo preferred to praise his current drive on social media, saying, "I am so grateful for my time at Renault and the way I was accepted, but we aren't done and I can't wait to get back on the grid this year. My next chapter isn't there yet, so let's finish this one strong. Merci." The Aussie replaces Carlos Sainz at McLaren, who was off to Ferrari to take over from Sebastian Vettel. Footy's return is music to the ears of the fans, and it had Eddie Betts and Nick Naitanui shouting from the rooftops in a State of Origin rap battle. The two AFL stars, aka Eazy-E and Nick Nat, hitting the decks and putting a new spin on reading their own self-written children's books.
We're Eddie's little homies and we're here to say,
This is the key, it's the only way.
Cause I'm bringing my footy, I'm bringing my hat, I'm bringing my courage, and y'all, that is that.
Easy E and little sidekick easily taking home the 4 points, and our player of the day for showing their faces and hitting the dance floor. You'd be a big rap fan, Jen?
Yes.
I'm a two-pack man myself.
Are you? Are you sure?
Maybe.
Stephen. Mike's back after the break and he'll have all your weekend weather details.
Stick around for Tommy's Legends of Lockdown next.
When we can all get out of our own backyards, it's time to start enjoying this one. In a 10 special, we talk to the people and visit the places that remind us why we're so lucky to live in the lucky country. Join us for the Love Australia project, 7:30 tonight on 10.
Red Bull gives you wings, now with the taste of watermelon. Also available in orange and tropical flavours.
Employees of Budget Direct. Over 20 years, you have become the country's most award-winning insurer, providing top-notch cover for more than 3 million Australians. Will you fight to save people on their car and home insurance? Who are you?
Proudly saving Australians on insurance for 20 years. Budget Direct. Insurance solved.
What is this doing on the ground?
Staying at home every day is hard, but it's never a good reason for abuse. For more information, visit respectvictoria.vic.gov.au. Supported by the Victorian Government.
Starbucks coffee is coming home, now available in supermarkets.
Muscle and osteopain can really tie you down. That pain is caused by inflammation. Nurofen helps reduce inflammation and relieve osteo and muscle pain for up to 8 hours. Break free with Nurofen.
Outside, it's something to look at. But inside, it's a space to be. A space we fit our lives into. A space that brings us closer. That spans generations. Where we go to let go. In a Mazda, this space is 100 years in the making. And summed up in 2 words. Zum zum.
At Spotlight's winter home sale, cozy up with Coo Stella Velvet Quilt Cover Set from $39. 50% off all winter and electric blankets and 30% off all decor food storage. So you can tuck it, snuggle it and cuddle it for less. Sale on now. At Spotlight, it's what you make it.
How's that for serenity?
Can care be better at home?
Oh, it's sanctuary. Your home's a bit of a sanctuary. Yeah, for me, rehab at home, it gave me a huge amount of flexibility to be able to do the things I wanted to do. It allowed me to unstress and be in the moment in your house in your own comfort zone, which was really good for me and my state of mind.
Search Medibank at Home to see how we're creating better choices for our members.
Red Bull gives you wings, now with the taste of watermelon. Also available in orange and tropical flavours.
Will an apple pie send the dessert king home? The bombshell elimination Sunday.
Now it's over to Mike for the weather.
Yeah, thank you, Jen. Good evening once again. I think you'll have to agree that's a really good shot here at Docklands. Well, it was cold this morning, 5 degrees in Melbourne, but it felt like 2. But that's now history because a great-looking weekend's on the way. Around 18 degrees and sunshine tomorrow, 17 on Sunday and sunny as well. And the morning's not quite as cold as it was this morning. Okay, let's have a look at some great photos that have been sent to Mike's Pics at network10.com.au. And I've got to tell you the story firstly. This is Buster in front of a younger Buster on the telly. The younger Buster was looking for a home from the Lost Dogs home, and after I featured him, Helen and Peter came to the rescue, and here he is in his brand new home, and he's happy at home in Bentley. And it's a Friday night feast. Here's Bonnie celebrating her 8th birthday in Northam North. Thank you to Neve for that photo. They are big bones she's about to munch on. OK, so it was cold this morning. 4.5 was the overnight low in Melbourne. A 0.5 always rounds off to the closest odd number, so 5 degrees in town, 15 degrees the maximum. That was around 1:30 with blue skies and light winds. Friday night in your city, 12 degrees. The humidity around 52% and the wind to southwesterly blowing at 12 kilometres per hour. Around Melbourne today, and it was all about the morning minimums, and the temperature did sneak below zero at Coldstream, living up to its name. Across our state, well, today's weather question, so how cold was it? Well, 2 to 5 degrees below average, mainly below 5 degrees, -3 in the Alps, below zero and zero in numerous other centres. Dressing gowns are plenty, no doubt. This afternoon, with a heap of sunshine and light winds, temperatures were mostly between 14 and 17. Around the country today, Perth 24 degrees, likewise in Brisbane. Adelaide and Hobart sharing 17. It's been raining in Sydney, 16 degrees with 3 mils of rain. And in Canberra, where a clown held the door open for another clown. Yeah, nice gesture. 1 to 15. The weather charts, a huge high is the main weather player. A weak front crossing Tassie later in the weekend. The rainfall chart, mid-May already. Nothing for us this weekend or early next week. We'll see rain clouds moving in our way next Wednesday. The heaviest rains the next week, next Thursday. Over to Adelaide for the weekend. 18 degrees, then 20 and sunny both days. Hobart 17, then 16, again sunny both days. Up in Brisbane, 24, 25 the next couple of days. Sydney 19, then 21, and it will be a showery weekend up there. Meanwhile in Canberra, 15 tomorrow, 17 Sunday and dry both days. Across our state, remaining chilly tonight for your Friday night takeaway. Again, a very cool morning, but not quite as cold as it was this morning. Widespread frost and a cool to mild, mostly sunny Saturday with light winds for your game of golf, your fishing, your catching up with friends. Ballarat 3 to 14, Bendigo 2 to 16, Shepparton 2 to 17. Around Melbourne, and again, it will be a chilly start to your day, but not as cold as it was this morning. Maybe a bit of fog about. In the Yarra Valley, just 3 to 17. At Mount D, 6 to 13, 18 the max in both Frankston and Geelong. On the bays, we'll have northerly winds of 10 knots pushing up to 15, waves about a metre, and the sun rising at about 7:15. So the forecast for our wonderful city by the bay, the sporting capital, and footy's back June 11. It will be cool tonight, clear skies with light winds, down to around 6 in the morning before pushing up to 18 degrees, aided by sunshine and light northerly winds. Beautiful. And we can go a little further afield, more shops are opening, but remember, social distancing is still very, very important. Now on to Sunday, again a lovely day, around 17 degrees, 6 to 17, maybe some fog in the outer suburbs. And then next week, some kids going back to school, including my daughter, year 12. Monday, 19 degrees, Tuesday also 19. And then the change moves in Wednesday, a couple of showers, 2 to 6 millimetres of rain. It will also be windier, around 17. Thursday, again wet, 15 degrees, 3 to 8 millimetres of rain. And then Friday remaining cool and wet, 15 degrees, around 5 millimetres of rain. But in the meantime, let's look at tomorrow. Let's worry about tomorrow, sunny and 18 degrees.
The developing stories we're following tonight. Fans and players breathe a sigh of relief as the AFL names the date to restart season 2020. The sick and sorry state of our budget bottom line as 7 weeks of shutdown bite. And his family never gave up hope. A father's amazing survival in the bush. Well, after weeks of uncertainty and speculation, footy fans finally have something to cheer about. The AFL season 2020 will kick off again on June 11. The league has confirmed stricter testing measures as well as restrictions on players and families in quarantine hubs. Annie Kearney joins us live now. Annie, when will players resume training?
They'll start training in small groups from Monday, Jen. The AFL has announced the return to footy date, Thursday, June 11, ending weeks of uncertainty. AFL Chief Executive Gillon McLachlan made the announcement today as he outlined the league's plan, including return to contact training, 2 sessions for every club from May 25, as well as South and Western Australian clubs being placed in a quarantine hub on the Gold Coast. There'll also be a number of other measures to try to stop the spread of COVID-19. Every player and official will be tested for the virus by the end of the week. They'll then be tested twice a week when contact training starts, and then they'll be tested every week once the season resumes. They'll also be subject to strict living arrangements.
Each household will be assessed for risk. There'll be restrictions on visitors to households. It's going to require, I guess, discipline and resilience from all our players and all our football staff.
The AFL fixture for the first 4 rounds will be released in the next 10 days. They have again said that the grand final will be played in Victoria. So, Jen, if everything goes to plan, the Premiership decider could be played at the MCG or even Marvel Stadium in mid to late October.
OK, thank you very much, Annie. Well, residents in Melbourne's inner and eastern suburbs have been unable to work or study today, with mass internet outages causing chaos. Catherine Firkin joins us live now. Catherine, how did this all happen?
Well, Jen, this can only be described as a major error on the part of a construction company that was working at this site. They managed to inadvertently dig through multiple fibre cables, and that has left hundreds, if not thousands of people without services such as broadband and Foxtel. It happened late yesterday, and Telstra technicians have been on site all through the night and through the day today working to try and fix these problems. But they say even with their best efforts, the damage here is significant, and these outages could last for several days.
It is a really complex environment that they're working in. It is a confined space, and the impact has occurred about 12 metres underground. So it is a huge amount of work, and they are doing their best to get this restored as soon as possible.
And Jen, this really couldn't have come at a worse time for many residents here, many of whom have been at home for weeks now, trying to do the right thing, trying to work and study remotely. And for them, this certainly is just a huge inconvenience.
Yes, very frustrating indeed. Thank you, Catherine. Victoria's coronavirus figures have experienced yet another double-digit jump as the state's budget takes a huge hit to the bottom line. State political reporter Simon Love has more.
The economic cost of coronavirus in Victoria has been laid bare with a sobering update from Treasurer Tim Pallas. He says the virus has smashed Victoria's budget bottom line, and the budget is right now in a $773 million deficit.
This is not the time for any government to be chasing surpluses. This is a time for governments to prioritise the welfare, the well-being of the community.
And importantly, new taxes or charges aren't on the Andrews government's immediate agenda.
The government is reviewing our tax base. It's not my intention to increase the tax burden upon the community.
It'll be welcome news to the state opposition, which launched a post-virus economic plan at a Balaclava cafe.
It should be waived for all businesses for at least the time that we've been closed.
It comes as 20 new coronavirus cases were confirmed, including a staff member at Myer High Point, which is closed after operating only its click and collect service. There were 6 new cases in return travellers in hotel quarantine. 1 is linked to Cedar Meats and 2 are connected to the McDonald's Faulkner cluster, while a second of the company's restaurants at Craigieburn is now shut after a staffer there tested positive. But in some good news, for a 4th straight day, there hasn't been a single case of community transmission of the virus in Victoria.
Simon Love reporting. Detectives have spent the day transporting Ricardo Barbaro from Sydney to Melbourne by road so he can face court over the death of his girlfriend Ellie Price. Emma O'Sullivan joins us live now. Emma, he was captured during a dramatic police raid.
That's right, Jen, and after a journey of about 10 hours or so, very shortly Ricardo Barbaro is expected to arrive here in the company of detectives, and then he will be formally interviewed. The 33-year-old was arrested, as you said, in Sydney yesterday. We saw dramatic pictures when he was found inside a penthouse in Western Sydney. Residents of that apartment complex reported hearing a lot of noise when police finally did catch up with the wanted man in the early hours of the morning. He's been wanted for questioning over the death of his on-again, off-again girlfriend, Ali Price. The body of the 26-year-old was found inside her apartment in South Melbourne. That was on the 4th of May, but detectives do suspect her body may have been there for a number of days before it was discovered, and then her car was found in the northwestern suburb of Diggers Rest. Ali's grieving family has expressed relief at this development. Police have said they're not looking for anyone else, and it is very likely that Ricardo Barbaro will front a magistrate tomorrow.
OK, thank you very much, Emma. A family is celebrating tonight after a father of 3 was found alive after enduring freezing conditions in dense bushland at East Warburton. Daniel Portelli went missing 4 days ago, but as Natasha Exelby discovered, his parents, brothers and friends never gave up hope.
What a rare and magical moment for the Portelli family here. This has been such an emotional roller coaster for them that could have ended in total devastation, and they were prepared for that. But instead, they are here in total jubilation. Daniel Portelli went missing on Sunday afternoon. He has been out in this rugged terrain since then. He has suffered hypothermia because the overnight lows got to -1 degree, and he had taken off his shoes and also his jacket. He was found here near the riverbed. He had also spent some of his time in the water. The family this morning thought that there was very little chance that they would be able to find Daniel alive, and yet they still didn't give up hope.
Awful feeling when you think that your son is going to die.
It's ecstatic, just like it was just beyond belief. I ran and gave him a big hug and I said, "Dan, it's us. What are you doing to us, mate?"
Daniel is expected to make a full recovery though, and at some point will face the cameras, but we certainly didn't want to do that today. He has no doubt been through enough.
Well, let's take another look at the traffic. It's back up to Sebastian in the chopper.
Thanks, Jen. Good evening again. Above the CBD, or just looking down on it anyway, the Lexus of Brighton traffic chopper taking a look at Docklands. Beautiful Ferris wheel, beautiful goalposts on the Balti. A beautiful Friday night now. It was busy earlier along here, but as you can see now, the Balti heading up towards the Tulla. A beautiful run, as too is the Calder Freeway heading out. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe on the roads. Take care. Jen.
Thank you, Sebastian. Well, last year, Westpac was thrown into turmoil when it was accused of millions of money laundering offences. It's made a startling admission today and is now on track to pay the largest penalty in Australian corporate history.
It's the financial scandal that claimed the scope of a CEO and a chairman, and now big bank Westpac has made some big admissions about millions of money laundering breaches. In its defence submitted to the federal court late today, the company admitted to breaking the law 23 million times. It also says it could have kept a closer eye on a dozen customers the regulators suspected of pedophilia, but it does deny it didn't have an anti-money laundering program in place. Theoretically, the penalty for this could be enormous, between $391 trillion and $483 trillion. But let's be real, it's unlikely to be anywhere near that. So far, Westpac has put aside $900 million to settle, and it will now look for common ground with the financial regulator Austrac. It didn't affect the stock price, though. Westpac was up by about 2%. The market on the whole surged at the start of the day. By noon it eased, but in the afternoon it went up again. End of the day, more than 1.4% up. Materials and financials were the strongest performers, while tech stocks lagged again. Right now, the Aussie dollar is mostly unchanged against the majors. Right now, it is buying 64.5 US cents.
Well, Stephen's back now with a look at sport and footy, ready to roll again.
Sure is, Jen. The AFL will restart in June. We'll get all the reaction next. Also, the Storm on the road when NRL resumes. Dan Ricciardo officially signs with McLaren. And why settle for just one? Melbourne accompanying trainer Danny O'Brien out to secure another golden ticket.
While we're all parked for a while, Lexus isn't. We're still anticipating your needs. So if your Lexus needs a service, we'll pick it up, deliver you a loan car, and return yours thoroughly cleaned inside and out.
AFL's back, but not quite as you know it. Plus, Tommy's rated Aussie lounge rooms for the greatest legends of lockdown, 6:30.
At Harvey Norman, get 60 months interest-free and receive a bonus gift card up to the value of $500. The more you spend on 60 months interest-free, the greater the value of the bonus gift card. Shop for laptops, phones, TVs, fridges, washers, ovens, lounges, beds, flooring and so much more. Shop in our spacious stores or online. We're practicing social distancing to keep our community safe. Get 60 months interest-free and receive a bonus gift card valued at up to $500 now at Harvey Norman. Hurry, offer ends Tuesday.
Go! Tab is giving you the green light with access to venue mode Wednesday and Saturday. Unlock unique markets and more promotions across the day's racing and sport. Check it out on the app. Tab, long may we play.
Gamble responsibly.
Get massive May savings at Chemist Warehouse. Our huge Money Savers catalogue is out now. All big brand cosmetics are half price. All L'Oreal and Maybelline, half price. All Rimmel and Sally Hansen, half price. And all Revlon and Nude by Nature, half price. That's right, all big brand cosmetics are half price. For the biggest range at the lowest prices, shop at Chemist Warehouse and stop paying too much.
If you're looking for a simple home loan with a great low rate, then walk this way. With a Rams Essential Home Loan, you can enjoy both. Backed by our famous silver service. Rams, greater together.
The Sporting Globe is now delivering direct to you with free delivery for a limited time across all of our classics, including buffalo wings, ribs, parmas and burgers when you order through our app. Bring the good times home from the Sporting Globe.
I was on the servo and I saw on the CCTV screen this balding bloke with the same jacket as me. But when I turned around, there was nobody there. And that was it.
Reached your turning point? The doctors at Ashley and Martin could help regrow your hair.
Anaconda's ultimate snow gear sale is on now. Adult snow jackets and pants just $49 each, and kids snow jackets and pants only $39 each. Head in store or shop online at anacondastores.com.
Anaconda! Meet the crew. They got their own way of betting. And this is me. I've always got the answer.
Make this Saturday one to remember. Get $4 odds for either Keyte or Santa and Elaine to win the Goodwood. PointsBet.
Go on.
At Devondale, we believe great milk comes from cows that graze free.
When we can all get out of our own backyards, it's time to start enjoying this one. In a 10 special, we talk to the people and visit the places that remind us why we're so lucky to live in the lucky country. Join us for the Love Australia project, 7:30 tonight on 10.
The footy returns in just under 4 weeks, with the AFL announcing a June 11 start date. Rob Waters joins us. Rob, it's going to be a very different looking competition when it comes back.
Yes, indeed, Stephen. The AFL has had to do a lot of this on the fly, but finally we've got there. So it will be a very different looking season in 2020. We will have flexible fixturing every 4 to 6 weeks. We will have 4 teams from WA and from South Australia in quarantine hubs on the Gold Coast. They will train there and they will play up there. We will also see a number of changes for the players. They'll be living in restrictive environments. Visitors will be limited and flatmates might need to be corona tested, for example. The AFL won't yet commit to a grand final date. It hopes it's in the middle or to late October, and it also wants it at the MCG, but it can't guarantee that. If it's delayed and goes into cricket season, it might have to be played at Marvel Stadium. They are doing a lot of this on the run, but we have got there, and here is the AFL Chief Executive, Gillon McLachlan, and also the Players Association CEO, Paul Marsh.
Our 2020 AFL Premiership season will resume on Thursday, June 11. In order to maintain flexibility, the AFL released the remaining 144 games plus finals in blocks of up to 4 to 6 weeks.
There's a set of protocols that needed to be agreed to get to have the ability
for football teams to travel around the country, and this is one of them. Obviously, there is risk depending on who players live with, but there are some steps that can be taken.
Each household will be assessed for risk. There'll be restrictions on visitors to households. So there's a full suite of those, and it's going to require, I guess, discipline and resilience from all our players and all our football staff.
So we've got some footy to look forward to. It's only 3.5 weeks away. Can't wait, Stephen.
Thanks to Rob Waters. Tom McDonald is cutting a fine figure on the track and reckons 4 weeks is more than enough time to get match fit. The imposing Demon enjoyed what could be his last isolation session alongside his brother and a few dashing Bulldogs. He says players will quickly come up to the required mark.
It's more like about a 24-week pre-season really, because it's not like we didn't do the work beforehand. We had a full pre-season beforehand, and unless you've been injured, guys have been able to train 3 to 4 times a week anyway.
McDonald says he has been putting plenty of work into his goal kicking during the COVID-19 pause. Queensland's Chief Health Officer insists allowing a waiver for Gold Coast Bryce Cartwright to play NRL isn't a win for anti-vaxxers. After receiving a medical exemption to avoid the flu shot, the Titans forward was tight-lipped as he returned to training this morning.
No, I won't be making any comments today.
Is this a win for anti-vaxxers then?
Absolutely not, no. He had a contraindication.
After missing a week of training, he's likely to be benched for the round 3 clash against the North Queensland Cowboys. Melbourne Cup winning trainer Danny O'Brien says the race will lose none of its esteem without the internationals. Vow and Declare was the first locally bred winner in 10 years. But the Aussies could have a leg up this year with international raiders unlikely to be able to travel. O'Brien says it'll take none of the gloss off.
No, I can't see it. There'll be a Melbourne Cup run and won, as there has been for 158 years. And they've been run through wars and pandemics, and I'm sure it'll be the equal of any of the 158 that have gone before it.
O'Brien will saddle up King of Leo Grants in tomorrow's Andrew Ramsden Stakes at Flemington, a race that guarantees entry to the Cup for the winner. Both professional and social sport have certainly sprung back to life over the past few days. So let's take a look at how some of the athletes have embraced their new-found freedom.
It sounds like a Sylvester Stallone screenplay. Or perhaps Tyson and Holyfield are channeling The Last Dance with their plans for a third bout.
I'm back. I'm back.
Hey, Mikey, we like it. Quote unquote, I'm back. That's all Jordan said on Saturday. That was really all Jordan needed to say.
One fight starting, but another just ended.
Get dressed, you're playing golf today.
No, I'm not, Grandpa. I'm playing tennis.
You're playing golf and you're going to like it.
Victorian golfers got the green light this week. Some were so keen they couldn't even wait for sunup.
Up!
Others, though, probably should have waited longer.
Put yourself down now. You're not good. You stink.
Tough call, but not as hard as calling the Penguin Parade.
Some resorting to shortcuts. Sad that cheating has crept into this beautiful sport. Who's got the finishing kick up on the outside? What a turn of pace from that one, whichever one it is.
Don't worry, Sir David Attenborough. The callers aren't coming for your job. Just like these mascots, they're hoping to be back at work soon. Tim Morgan for 10 News First.
Wonder if Rodney Dangerfield's related to Patrick.
You do? Thank you, Stephen. Michael will be back after the break with a 7-day forecast.
Who doesn't love a classic apple pie?
Apple pie is very simple. How can I elevate it? They're watching me. I'm trying to ignore them. I'm just trying to stay calm. I'm feeling a lot of pressure. This dome has to be perfectly done. There's no room for error.
The night where another one of your favourites goes. The Bombshell Elimination, 7:30 Sunday.
To keep everybody safe, at Aldi, some things have changed. Not everything, some things. Like there's these trolley wipes, there's Q, that hand sanitizer, And those social distancing markers. Those we've always had. Noppers. Tasty. But these are new. Sneeze guards. Yep, Aldi is even more different than it was before. But it's still good different.
Illusion is on fire! A warm home is a safe home. Support Australia's largest manufacturer of gas log fires, Illusion. Buy direct and save thousands. Heaters starting at $2,499. Don't be left out on the cold. Dandenong, Epping and North Geelong.
At Terry White Chemmart, we're more than just open. We're open to helping any way we can. Like offering the safety and convenience of home delivery. Terry White Chemmart. Now that's real chemistry.
You don't give in. You don't give up. You push on when most would have pushed off. You lend a hand, whether a hand was asked for or not. It's called Aussie Spirit for good reason, because it takes spirit to get through times like these. Lucky you've got it in spades. It's what inspires us to be by your side to help. Together we'll get through this. We always do. Search Toyota, here to help.
Let's do it, baby.
Make this Saturday one to remember. If your horse runs second, third or even fourth in races 1 to 6 at Rose Hill, get your money back in bonus up to $50. PointsBet.
Domino's $5 pizzas are incredible value. They're made with fresh dough and vine-ripened tomato sauce, topped with stretchy and tastier mozzarella, and served with total peace of mind, thanks to zero contact pickup from Domino's.
Well, what's for dinner?
Soup.
I hate soup.
Okay. Stew.
Ooh, stew.
Well, you decide then.
Anything you want is fine.
When you need to snap out of it, have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
When life gives you dirtiness, Godfrey's gives you cleanliness. With products to keep every surface free from spills, dirt and allergens. For a clean and healthy home, Godfrey's Cleanliness.
If you're struggling to balance work, life and family, you need to shake it up. Ensure Health Shakes help you get the nutrition you need to support your body's changing needs. With a prebiotic, 28 essential vitamins and minerals, including calcium, plus a protein boost. Put more balance in your work-life balance. Shake it up with Ensure.
Up next, AFL's comeback details confirmed. So how long before your team hits the field?
Tommy's got a new batch of legends to battle it out with the skills they've learnt in lockdown.
And Aussie singer-songwriter Missy Higgins joins us to chat about her special new project. The Project next.
Tonight's weather report is brought to you by Red Energy. 100% Australian electricity and gas. The power to switch is in your hands.
Mike's back now with the weather.
Yeah, thank you, Jen. Good evening. A tad on the cool side tonight. You may want to put the heater on overnight and tomorrow morning, but then prepare yourself for a couple of absolute sparklers. 18 degrees and sunny tomorrow, 17 and sunny on Sunday. Okay, some great photos now that have been sent to Mike's Pics at network10.com.au. Oh, this is wonderful. It is Williamstown. Thank you, Kaz Bucher, for sharing this calming, relaxing photo. And looking lovely in Leichhardt just past Bendigo. Wayne Eels popped outside to be greeted by this awesome orange big sky. And yes, it was cold this morning, 5 degrees the overnight low, our coldest since October last year, but 15 degrees this afternoon with blue skies and light winds. Not a bad old way to end the working week. Outside right now, 12 degrees, the humidity at 52%. Cool, that wind, a southerly. And south-southwesterly, in fact, locally, blowing at about 12 kilometres per hour. Around Melbourne today, our temperatures were slightly below the norm this afternoon, but it was all about how chilly it was this morning. Across our state, in fact, the day began 2 to 5 degrees below average. -3 the overnight low in the Alps, lots of zeros and numerous below zeros around town. And then this afternoon, a heap of sunshine and light winds, maximums between 14 and 17. The 17 recorded at Mildura, Cape Nelson, Coldstream, Yarrawonga and Albury-Wodonga. Around Australia, in Canberra, just 1 to 15 degrees. A degree warmer in Sydney where it's been raining. Up in Brisbane, again, a glorious day. It's been magnificent up there all week. 24 degrees, 17 in both Adelaide and Hobart. Interstate tomorrow, Adelaide 18 degrees and then 20 on Sunday. Blue skies both days this weekend. Hobart 17 tomorrow, then 16 again, sunny both days. Up in Brisbane, forget it, we're not going up there, the mid-20s and blue skies. Don't want to know about that. Sydney 19 degrees, then 21 degrees. They've got a showery weekend on the way, and in the national capital, 15 degrees tomorrow. Across our state, rather chilly tonight, your Friday night. Again, a very cool morning, not as cold as it was this morning though. Widespread frost and a cool to mild, mostly sunny Saturday with light winds for your longer than normal walks, this weekend. Around Melbourne, again, a chilly start to your day, not quite as cold as this morning. A few fogs about also. Geelong 5 to 18, Frankston 7 to 18, at Mount D just 6 to 13. And on the bays, northerly winds of 10 knots pushing up to 15, waves around about a metre. And so for our wonderful city by the bay, cool tonight with clear skies and light winds, down to about 6 in the morning before getting up to 18 degrees. It'll be glorious, aided by sunshine and light northerly winds. Beautiful. But of course, remember social distancing and keep washing your hands this weekend. On a Sunday, again a perler. Lovely, sunny, 17 degrees, 6 to 17. Maybe a foggy start to your Sunday. And then 19 degrees both Monday and Tuesday. And then we're going to change on the way. A cold front moving up from the southwest on Wednesday. We'll see temperature dropping a couple of degrees to 17, but we'll see some wind about and also rain, 2 to 6 millimetres of rain. And then cooler and wet on Thursday, wet 15 degrees, 3 to 8 millimetres of rain. And this time next week, at this stage, it will also be wet, 15 degrees with around 5 millimetres of rain. So that is the forecast. Have a wonderful weekend. The weather well and truly on your side. Perhaps you're having 5 friends over tonight, tomorrow and Sunday. See you on Monday. Jen.
Thank you, Mike. Yes, the weekend looks great. That's 10 News First for this evening. Updates through the evening. But for now, from the team, have a lovely evening and good night.
Tonight, the government